or van taking up space in your home? You can call the number below today and donate it to the United Breast Cancer Foundation to help save a life. Our qualified personnel will go to your home to pick it up completely free of charge. Donating your old truck or SUV helps pay for the programs available to women affected by breast cancer who need your help. Please help us to help others. Call now.
We all know that movement is like medicine, but getting the movement you need to feel better can be a challenge. Now you can keep fit while you sit with QB, the world's leading compact seated elliptical. QB gives you active sitting, letting you burn calories and keep moving in an easy and low-impact way, all while you work, read, or watch TV. QB was named a top 10 gift by Time Magazine and has been featured all over the world. It's whisper quiet while it works your abs and core, hip flexors, glutes, quads, hamstrings, and calves.
QB is a lifesaver for me.
Here's your answer to your problem.
I feel young again.
Join the hundreds of thousands of people moving more with QB. Call to find out how to get your QB with free shipping and a 30-day completely risk-free trial. You'll also get this QB workout mat free. Now keep fit while you sit with QB.
To order, call 800-289-5820. That's 800-289-5820. Call now.
Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. It's official. If there had been any sliver of a doubt that the Republican Party had been fully and completely co-opted by Donald Trump, even after the election loss, even after the riots, well, it's over now. If there's any debate that this was a party of ideas to a party bent on power and power alone for Donald Trump and he alone to wield, well, those doubts are all gone tonight, period, end stop. The Republican House Conference today booting its conference leader and number 3 person in the House, conservative Liz Cheney, from leadership this morning, doing so in as cowardly a way as they could. Cheney's only crime? Her refusal to back Donald Trump and the big lie, the lie that led to the deadly Capitol riot and has split our nation even further. We're going to have a lot of insight and analysis on this and a bit of a historical context. We'll be joined also by the Washington Post's Dana Milbank in just a moment. He was there today when the vote went down. But let's start with this morning's mayhem. And for that, let's turn to senior political correspondent Andrew.
Well, Rich, as we've been reporting for some time, today's vote and the removal of Cheney was a done deal, especially after the leaders above Cheney announced their support for someone else. But there were some surprises this morning. Cheney reportedly made her case to her conference, then was booted by a voice vote, no roll call, so there's no record of who voted for or against her or what the vote total was. It's the opposite of the vote that kept Cheney in leadership back in February. The meeting lasted just 20 minutes, and after being voted out, Cheney exited the room, walking through her fellow Republicans to get out, the same people who had just voted her out. Earlier in the meeting, Cheney again criticized Trump. Her colleagues responded by booing her. By most indications, Cheney told the conference many of the same things she told reporters after the vote was done, like what she said to them about Donald Trump.
I will do everything I can to ensure that the former president never again gets anywhere near the Oval Office. We have seen the danger that he continues to provoke with his language. We have seen his lack of commitment and dedication to the Constitution, and I think it's very important that we make sure whomever we elect is somebody who will be faithful to the Constitution.
Cheney also spoke about her vision for the future of the GOP and how the party should move forward.
We must go forward based on truth. We cannot both embrace the big lie and embrace the Constitution. And going forward, the nation needs it. The nation needs a strong Republican Party. The nation needs a party that is based upon fundamental principles of conservatism. And I am committed and dedicated to ensuring that that's how this party goes forward, and I plan to lead the fight to do that.
She also shared her hopes that the GOP returns to its roots and again becomes the party of Reagan, Bush, McCain, and even Dick Cheney.
It is an indication of where the Republican Party is, and I think that the party is in a place that we've got to bring it back from, and we've got to get back to a position where we are a party that can fight for conservative principles, that can fight for substance. We cannot be dragged backward by the very dangerous lies of a former president.
But at least today, her party was not listening. Their ears, it would seem, are only open to one man. And naturally, that man could not hold his tongue or his contempt for his fellow Republican. Quote, Liz Cheney is a bitter, horrible human being, wrote Donald Trump in a moment totally lacking self-awareness. She has no personality or anything good having to do with politics or our country. The woman Trump wants to replace Cheney with, expected to be elevated to the position later this week. Upstate New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who again was a moderate who backed John Kasich over Trump in 2016 and voted against the Trump tax cuts. She announced her formal candidacy for Cheney's old job today. Republicans will meet tomorrow and are expected to elect Stefanik on Friday, though some speed bumps are appearing. Texas Republican Chip Roy among the conservatives now complaining about Stefanik's record. But conservatives are outnumbered now by Trumpists in the House, as evidenced by this tweet from Montana's Matt Rosendale. He sent out the mission accomplished shot from George W. Bush's Iraq War speech after the Cheney vote, ignoring how much worse that quagmire got after that victory was declared. And while we don't know how many Republicans voted today to keep Cheney in her leadership position, there were precious few who spoke up for her publicly. One who did, fellow Trump critic Adam Kinzinger, said the big argument to axe her was party unity.
Look, I'm all for unity. I'm all for unity and truth. You know, truth cannot coexist with lies. Truth cannot coexist with falsehood. You cannot unify with that. And I think that's what Liz has been saying. So thank you, everybody. I'll tell you, it was a sad day.
Rich?
Unbelievable, Andrew. Thank you. And for more on this morning's events and what they mean moving forward, let's turn to a man who was just outside the room where this went down this morning. Dana Milbank, columnist for the Washington Post and longtime friend of the program. And Dana, can I just say how much of a spineless sissy move by McCarthy with this voice vote? I mean, put your big boy pants on. You're going to do this. You know, put your name to it. I mean, how weak.
Right. He didn't want people to see that, in fact, Liz Cheney does have quite a bit of support within the caucus. She was going to lose the vote anyway, everybody thinks, but she was going to get a sizable amount of support. There were also plenty of people in the room ready to speak for her in support, but McCarthy had another plan. He wanted to sweep it under the rug. The irony, of course, is that he, you know, in announcing that he wanted to oust Cheney, he said that this is a big tent party, even as he was casting somebody out from the tent, and not just somebody, the number 3 leader in the party and the daughter of the vice president and a well-known stalwart conservative.
What are the consequences of today? Forget the political metrics about where the Republican Party goes from here, but the messaging about the illegitimacy or the legitimacy, to question the legitimacy of the election and the insanity we see playing out in the Arizonas now and the further voter disenfranchisement, just feeding into the big lie and everything that will come out of it.
Yeah, well, look, Richard, virtually nobody in that Republican caucus actually believes that Trump won the election and it was stolen from him. I think we can start with that, but virtually nobody will say that publicly because they believe they cannot have this rift in the party. It will cost them control of the House and perhaps the Senate in 2022. So they've made just this crass political calculation that they're willing to accept this lie to paper over the differences in the party. And now they've got to go further, and they've got to banish people who are not going along with the program of accepting the lie. I think within the Republican caucus in Congress, they're now going to be lockstep in not speaking out against Trump, not speaking out against the big lie. But you do have now outside the tent Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, a few others who are actually speaking out and saying, no, this isn't, conservative not to respect the rule of law. This isn't, what the Republican Party was supposed to be all about. And it doesn't seem that the attention does get through to some Republican voters. There's a little bit of movement in that direction that, they're seeing that the Republicans are basically all rallying around a lie.
You know, yesterday I spoke to A.B. Stoddard, and she said which is, there's a miscalculation, or was at least by McCarthy, that there wasn't a sizable number of Republicans who weren't willing to go along to get along. But she also said Liz Cheney's been keeping receipts here, and if she thinks that this is the end of it, in many ways she could be somewhat liberated, along with Kinzinger and a few others here. This is going to be painful for McCarthy and others, particularly if, as we expect, there eventually is going to be a January 6th commission.
Mm-hmm. Right, and who knows, is McCarthy brought to testify? He's, an incredibly weak leader here. He's just sort of blowing whichever way the wind blows. He was critical of Trump after the January 6th insurrection, then realized, I better get back on his good side, or I'm going to have problems with, my leadership here. He's being led by the base of the party rather than actually being a leader. Being a leader, at least until recently, has meant telling the truth, and he's just decided not to do that. So it's hard to see how this, in the long run, works out well for McCarthy. But it was just an extraordinary exercise in cowardice, the entire episode this week.
Somebody's making a miscalculation here. I heard Lindsey Graham a couple days ago say, listen, for anybody who thinks we can win as a party without Trump, you're wrong. And then I saw Governor Hogan from Maryland, also a Republican, who said, am I the only one who's doing math here? We lost the House, we've lost the Senate, and we lost the White House with Trump. How's this way working for us? Somebody's not, doing a head count the right way. I know it's too early to tell, but I don't get how Republicans, when they had the chance, like that old line, every time I'm out, they keep dragging me back in. They were out. They chose to drag Trump back in after January 6th. I don't get the math. Forget the morality out of this.
Well, I think they're talking about two different time frames. And, the ones like McCarthy are saying, you know what, we can't afford to have this squabble right now. We're very close to taking our House. Look, the Republicans are likely to take over the House just given the historical patterns and how close it is. They don't want to screw that up. So that's what they're talking about there. But the long-term issue is entirely different. What they're doing is, basically tying themselves to a smaller and smaller share of the electorate that's shrinking and shrinking. So they are driving the Republican Party into oblivion over the long term, but they're doing this because they believe, and there's some logic to it, that just by accepting this lie and silencing the differences, that they can prevail in just this next election, just one more time.
Whatever you say about McConnell, he can play chess when others play checkers. Why did he say what he did on January 6th? I know he didn't vote to impeach, but he made it clear January 6th was the fault of Trump. And if you're a prosecutor out there and you want to bring a criminal case, have at him. Mm-hmm. Why did he do that? If he was going to go radio silent after and allow a civil war to unfold here in his party, it doesn't make sense to stick your neck out if you weren't going to keep it out.
I don't think he really stuck his neck out. He was the guy who announced before the vote that the Senate didn't have the authority to convict Trump. He basically sealed Trump's fate in terms of not being convicted by the Senate. And then I think he gave that speech that was basically a sop to Republican Party donors who are worried about things like insurrections in the United States Capitol. So he's not exactly a profile in courage either. But then you have McCarthy, who said things like McConnell said after the insurrection, and then completely reverses himself and goes to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. So, neither one is exactly a profile in courage, but it's just McCarthy right now. He really looks like he's just blowing whichever way the breeze goes.
And by the way, as we learned even this week, I know you report as much, Adam Kinzinger told everybody that he actually warned days prior to the 6th that we could have violence on our hands in Washington. One more thing that may or may not come out if we ever get this commission. But finally, it's amazing what we can get used to, as they say, Dana, but we have one of the two major political parties in this country who is willing to purge from their ranks someone who is telling the truth that everyone knows empirically is the truth. Can you put in some historical context just how, forget about crazy, how damning and dangerous it is what they did today?
Richard, I think we're way beyond any sort of historical context. There is none for this sort of thing when a president is going on about this big lie about the election. But just think of what they're doing here. They've cast out Cheney, who is a very reliable conservative, and they are apparently going to replace her with Elise Stefanik, who is very much at the liberal end of the Republican Party. So they're completely jettisoning what they used to believe in as their principles in favor of being this cult of Trump. I think it says it all right there.
Amazing day, but amazing months or years, however, whatever time frame we want to use. Dana, always appreciate your time, though. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so Liz Cheney's out, undone in the House leadership by the GOP's own devotion to Donald Trump even after January 6th. It turns out the nation, I know what Dana said, that we're past historical, comparisons here, but we actually have been in kind of a similar situation to this before. We're going to roll back the clock for one such moment and analyze what Cheney might do next and how big a problem she could be for the party of Trump.
This is important news for people who took certain drugs for HIV and then suffered serious injury to their kidneys or bones. Your HIV drug could have contained TDF, an ingredient known to increase the risk of kidney disease and kidney failure. TDF has also been linked to bone fractures, bone density loss, and softening of the bones. If you or a loved one took Truvada, Viriad, Atroplus, Stribild, or Complera and then suffered from kidney disease, kidney failure, bone fractures, osteoporosis, osteopenia, or osteomalacia, call the lawyers at Davis & Crump right now to see if you're eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. If you or a loved one took any of these medications and were then diagnosed with kidney disease, kidney failure, bone fractures, bone density loss, or softening of the bones, call Davis & Crump right now to see if you're eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Our first consultation is free, and we don't get paid unless you get paid. Call Davis & Crump right now. Operators are standing by.
I struggled to stand for a shower, and after falling in the tub, I felt it was only a matter of time before I broke a hip.
If you worry about the risk of an accidental fall getting in or out of the bath, could a walk-in tub be right for you? Search Consumer Affairs Walk-in Tubs to find great deals, like a free shower package upgrade.
Once you turn 60, you have to realize there are limitations, whether you want to admit it or not. My walk-in tub has helped me to continue to enjoy a much better quality of life.
Why decide between a walk-in tub or shower when you could have both? Call now and we'll upgrade your new Safe Step walk-in tub purchase with our exclusive free shower package.
My husband said walk-in tubs are for old people, but I was more interested in feeling young and staying in the game. That's why I recommend a walk-in tub to everyone.
Call 800-993-2023. That's 800-993-2023. 800-993-2023. Call now.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Most Americans, at least those still too young for Social Security, had never seen an American political leader weaponize fear and direct attacks on the character of their political enemies like Donald Trump. And we know how that ended. Members of his own party, too afraid of Trump or his supporters to rein in his worst behaviors and deadly decisions. Well, the result? January 6th, the Capitol riot, an insurrection aimed at keeping Trump in power while threatening the lives of the vice president, his own vice president, and other lawmakers, and a nation impossibly even more divided and a government even less able to function when most needed. But some 70 years ago, this nation endured a man who turned out to be a precursor to Donald Trump. His name? Senator Joe McCarthy, the Republican who weaponized the Red Scare, who used fear of being labeled a communist or a communist sympathizer to steamroll his own colleagues, the Congress, much of the nation, until finally a nation said enough and rejected him. And there's another similarity between McCarthy and Trump. Each faced initial challenges of their grips of power from Republican women who refused to accept what they were doing. Andrew's back now with more on this historical parallel.
Well, Rich, Joe McCarthy's anti-communist crusade had a lot in common with Donald Trump's rise to power. Both rode populist waves, both relied on false stories and narratives, and the influence of both men went far beyond the boundaries of Washington. In McCarthy's case, anyone who challenged him was labeled a communist or a sympathizer. He claimed there were communists in the State Department, at the Voice of America, in the U.S. Army, even in Hollywood. Almost none of his claims were true. McCarthy's attacks on the Army would be his eventual undoing in 1954. But in 1950, a Republican senator from Maine, Margaret Chase Smith, became among the first to stand up to him. Here's some audio of Smith rereading her speech known as the Declaration of Conscience years later in this clip from the History Channel. Much of it still rings true today.
As a United States Senator, I'm not proud of the way in which the Senate has been made a publicity platform for irresponsible sensationalism. I'm not proud of the reckless abandon in which unproved charges have been hurled from this side of the aisle. I'm not proud of the obviously staged, undignified countercharges that have been attempted in retaliation from the other side of the aisle. As an American, I want to see our nation recapture the strength and unity it once had when we fought the enemy instead of ourselves.
Now cut to last night on the House floor and this morning's vote among House Republicans. Like with Smith, Liz Cheney's words will not produce the results she's hoping for, at least not right now. But they could end up being a line in the sand, much like Smith's words 71 years ago.
The election is over. That is the rule of law. That is our constitutional process. Those who refuse to accept the rulings of our courts are at war with the Constitution. Our duty is clear. Every one of us who has sworn the oath must act to prevent the unraveling of our democracy. This is not about policy. This is not about partisanship. This is about our duty as Americans. Remaining silent and ignoring the lie emboldens the liar. I will not participate in that. I will not sit back and watch in silence while others lead our party down a path that abandons the rule of law and joins the former president's crusade to undermine our democracy.
She's gone, but she's not going quietly, Rich.
You know what's amazing, Andrew? Apparently behind the scenes, before the first vote was taken for Liz Cheney, whether or not she'd remain in leadership, that vote, at least unlike this voice vote joke of today, 140 to 60 roughly, that Republicans complained out loud behind closed doors that their emotions weren't being taken into account by her, and how hard her taking a stance against Trump was putting them in positions. It's interesting that two women, separated by generations, had more courage than their male counterparts to speak truth to power, to say there's lines we won't cross. Guys so concerned with keeping their jobs or daring to be on the wrong end of a tweet from Donald Trump without the courage of those two women. It's amazing. We're bracketed by history, but we've been here before.
And in both cases, you would have hoped that members of their parties would have come with them, at least to a certain degree. And so far, it's played out exactly the same in that they haven't. So afraid for their own political fortunes and their own fates that they refuse to do so. But it did start the process.
Kinzinger said, Andrew, only 5 Republicans, in his belief, actually believed the election was stolen. They all knew, like Liz Cheney is, that this was a big lie. They were just too afraid. Finally, we're hearing rumblings that, and we know friends to this program, Republicans, who've renounced the party and stepped away, or don't recognize the party. On a national level, as many as 100 Republicans, not on Capitol Hill, but state houses and other jobs across this country, are ready to break with the party. it seems that the Republican Party is at, a tipping point here.
Well, Liz Cheney has to decide how much of a pain in Donald Trump's side she wants to be. She taped a one-on-one, I think, for the Today Show that's going to air tomorrow morning. That's not an interview that Liz Cheney gets 2 months ago. I mean, as the House conference chairperson, that you don't get that interview.
Read between the lines, she almost might really seriously be a candidate for president.
It's entirely possible. Or maybe she drafts some of those 100 Republicans who are wavering and starts identifying Republicans to primary challenge or run as a third-party candidate in the general election. Rich, the only way this fever breaks among the Republican Party is if Republicans start losing elections because of the damage that has been done. If Liz Cheney really wants to get to the bottom of this, she can try to facilitate that. That could be a big problem for the GOP.
Like many years ago, Liz Cheney did the dirty work and took the courageous stand. Just too many cowards wouldn't follow her. Andrew, thank you. When we come back, the party of Trump begat the riot of Trump. Trump's handpicked leader at the Pentagon under oath in the House today with nothing but newfound praise for the job the National Guard did not do on January 6th. We'll take you inside next.
For more than 150 years, Brinks has been trusted with keeping your money safe. Now, Brinks introduces the Brinks Money Prepaid MasterCard to help protect what matters most to you. When having confidence that your money is safe matters most, Brinks can help.
I trust Brinks to help me do the right things with my money, and my family trusts me.
When having control of your money matters most, you can trust Brinks. Just load money onto your card account or use direct deposit.
Direct deposit puts our money in our hands faster than a paper check.
And Brinks helps us spend responsibly. We can track our purchases and pay bills online.
Call now or go online to order your Brinks Money Prepaid MasterCard. There's no credit check and no cost to order. And with a qualifying direct deposit, we'll upgrade you to Brinks Preferred, including a savings account that can earn up to a 5% annual percentage yield. Call 1-800-948-5902. Right now to order your Brinks Money Prepaid MasterCard. There's no cost to order. Call now.
8 years ago, my daughter called to say she was expecting our first grandchild. But I never actually heard her say that. And the first time my granddaughter called me Papa, I didn't hear that one either. Can you imagine? Oh, I know I lost some of my hearing, but I was embarrassed, too stubborn to admit that. For Father's Day a few years ago, Gina and Ryan bought me a nano hearing aid. And my precious Ryan, I love hearing her call me Papa. I love hearing everything again.
What have you not heard by not wearing a hearing aid? You're going to have many more special moments in your life. Don't miss hearing a single one of them. Call Nano. Order your full pair of hearing aids for only $297.
1-800-259-1401.
Make today the day you finally start hearing better again with Nano hearing aids.
1-800-259-1401. 1-800-259-1401.
After an auto accident, insurance companies will try to outsmart you and pay as little as possible. At Vocate Legal, our attorneys know exactly how big insurance thinks and how to outsmart them. That's all we do, day in and day out. Call us today or visit vocate.com for a free consultation. We'll help you connect to a qualified attorney in under 10 minutes. Get a free consultation and we'll start working for you right away. Better yet, you don't pay unless you win your case. Our accomplished attorneys have the experience and knowledge to handle your case strategically and will fight to get your medical expenses paid, your car repaired, and the maximum compensation. Make the right move and partner with one of our Vocate legal attorneys at no upfront cost to you. Call us today or visit vocate.com for a free consultation.
Vocate Legal, fight smarter.
So the GOP is now fully the party of Trump, and we got a taste of what that means during a House hearing on the Capitol riot this morning. And a quick reminder, we still don't know what we need to know about the riot, and there's a reason for that. Republicans are inexplicably, amazingly still blocking an independent commission to investigate an attack on our democracy. In the meantime, they are coming up with any explanation for the riot they can that doesn't implicate the man at the center of it, Donald J. Trump. The latest example came during this morning's hearing. In the hot seat, Christopher Miller, the Trump-appointed but never confirmed acting defense secretary who was running the Pentagon on January 6th. Miller has, as is recently in his written opening statement for the hearing, he's blamed Trump for sparking the riot. Well, today in the new GOP, his answer changed a lot.
This is your quote. Would anybody have marched on the Capitol and tried to overrun the Capitol without the president's speech? I think it's pretty much definitive that would not have happened.
I think now I would say that was not the unitary factor at all.
What's that?
I would like to offer, I have reassessed, it's not the unitary factor at all. It seems clear there was an organized conspiracy with assault elements in place.
In your written testimony for today, this reclaiming my time again, for your written testimony for today, this morning, you stated the following about the president's quote. I personally believe his comments encouraged the protesters that day. That was this morning. So this is a very recent reversal of your testimony.
Absolutely not. That's ridiculous.
You're ridiculous.
I'm with the congressman there. Miller repeatedly tried to make a distinction between what he called demonstrators on January 6th and rioters on the 6th. He claims that he oversaw one of the fastest ever deployments of the National Guard that day, despite the utter lack of Guard presence until the riot was hours old. Later, a Republican member asked about Trump and the Guard. Miller said Trump wanted the Guard there, but watch as he explains why.
What was the president's response to you with regard to the request made by Mayor Bowser?
Fill it and do whatever was necessary to protect the demonstrators and that were executing their constitutionally protected rights.
Trump wanted the Guard in place to protect the demonstrators, many of whom would become rioters. Now, Miller had help protecting Trump at the hearing. Take a listen to Arizona's Paul Gosar, who, by the way, his own name has come up among those who may have actually helped the rioters plan that awful day. Gosar defends the insurrectionists.
The truth is being censored and covered up. As a result, the DOJ is harassing peaceful patriots across the country. Without accurate answers, conspiracies continue to form.
So again, the people who assaulted the police here, they're the ones being persecuted. The Justice Department is not investigating peaceful demonstrators. They're arresting these animals who stormed the Capitol as the election was being certified. We don't have answers because Gosar and his friends are blocking the aforementioned riot commission. Miller later testified he approved deploying the Guard 90 minutes after the Capitol was breached, but claimed it took another 90 minutes for the Guard to come up with a plan and even longer for them to take action. As you'd imagine, Democrats were not buying that lame answer.
During that 1.5-hour gap, why did you and the secretary disobey the president's order to give the mayor the support she requested?
She already had the support she requested. What's your question, sir?
Sir, she requested additional support. You see this mayhem and pictures of insurrection on January 6th. She requested additional support from you. And during that 1.5 hours, either you disobeyed an order given to you by the president to help Mayor Bowser, or the president changed his order and asked you to delay support, or you just plain froze and were indecisive. While people were being injured, killed, while hundreds of rioters breached the Capitol, and a nation was traumatized.
Up next, we're going to get into an issue that's been close to this program. We have seen throughout American history people fighting with the U.S. When we go into foreign wars. Whether you agree with the war or not isn't the point. We give our word to these people that if you stand with us, we will look out for you and even make you part of the American dream. Well, again, this promise is being tested and our word may again be broken. U.S., we are exiting Afghanistan. Hopefully, we never will lose another soldier there again, but our military was not alone in that fight, and the Afghans who helped us under threat of death are now in danger again. Up next, a veteran who's working to help those Afghans who helped America in our longest war.
Shake your legs, shake your abs, shake your butt, shake up your entire body to a slim, firm, and sexy new you with PowerFit Elite, the breakthrough multi-directional vibration platform that helps engage all your muscles from the moment you step on it. PowerFit uses multi-directional vibration to create muscle confusion and rapidly contract and relax your muscles to help you get fit and stay fit.
It's intense. You really feel your whole body working.
You could be watching TV, but you do feel the workout.
It works you out where you don't feel like you're working out. It's actually a lot of fun.
Each traditional exercise that you do on PowerFit Elite can help sculpt, transform, and redefine your body from head to toe. The secret is the multi-directional vibration technology that causes muscle confusion and forces them to contract and counter-challenge you. Your muscles work hard so you can stabilize and maintain your balance. There are 3 standing positions: walking, jogging, and then running. Plus, there are 3 different program levels for workouts to choose from, so you can really customize your workout. PowerFit Elite can help improve your energy, burn calories, tone your body, define your abs, work your arms, strengthen your legs, boost your buttocks, and so much more. And for an even more intense workout, add resistance bands for bicep curls, forward lateral raises, and crisscross pulls. It's time to join the new fitness revolution that's shaking up the world. Call or go online now and you can try PowerFit Elite in your home for 30 days for only $14.95. But wait, order right now and we'll upgrade you to the deluxe set that includes the complete workout guide, the power bands, and the handy remote control. That's an over $80 value free. Try PowerFit Elite in your home for 30 days. And if it's not the best workout system you've used, just return it for a refund of your trial price. But hold everything, we'll also add our healthy eating plan to help you achieve your best possible results free. Try PowerFit Elite in your home for 30 days for only $14.95 and experience the power of extreme vibrations. Order now.
Every 2 minutes, a woman in the U.S. is diagnosed with breast cancer. And that's why when others look away, we lean in. We're fighting alongside patients because we know one moment can change everything. With your help, more moments of hope are possible. Join our fight. Save lives.
In 1975, after more than a decade of American troops fighting in Southeast Asia, the United States pulled out of Vietnam. The images of that final pullout remain seared into the memories of many who lived through it. The final helicopters landing on the roof of the U.S. Embassy to evacuate personnel, the final flights of those choppers as they left, and pilots flying over the sea, then jumping out, ditching the choppers in the water so that they would not fall into the hands of the North Vietnamese. But there is another part to that story that has faded from the history books. Thousands of Vietnamese people, many of whom had worked and helped the U.S. forces during the war, left abandoned as those final choppers flew away. Here's CBS's Ed Bradley reporting from Saigon on April 30th, 1975.
We all decided to try and reach the United States Embassy, and once there, we found it surrounded by Vietnamese looking for a way in and a way out. Helicopters were landing on the roof and inside the compound as we walked to the back of the embassy. We had to push and shove our way through a crowd of several hundred Vietnamese trying to scale the walls, only to be knocked back by U.S. Marines.
That was not the last time the U.S. left people who had helped us behind at the end of a foreign war. When the U.S. pulled out of Iraq, we left thousands of Iraqis behind as well. In 2018, only 2 interpreters were allowed to enter the U.S. The ones who were not faced threats of attack, and there's no official way to know what happened to most of them. And now there's every possibility it could happen again, this time in Afghanistan. President Biden has said he wants all American forces out of Afghanistan by September 11th, putting an end to America's longest war. But the moment he made that pledge, Taliban forces ramped up their attacks. Most now expect they will again control all or most of the country as soon as the last U.S. forces are gone. And once again, our exit endangering the people who helped us. Thousands of Afghans are pleading for help to get them out, and many, they've been already threatened with their and their families' lives. And for more on the efforts to help them, Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, we turn to Jeremy Butler. Jeremy, the CEO of the group working to help as many Afghans as possible. He's kind enough to give us a few minutes. And Jeremy, first, talk about what some of these folks did for us in country, and both helping to bridge a divide with some obviously Afghanis that were doubtful of the reasons why we were there, and let alone helping the men and women in our uniform on the ground.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, and thank you for leading with that question, because I think it's the most vital part of this discussion. These interpreters were absolutely vital to the success of the U.S. mission in Afghanistan and Iraq, for that matter. We're talking about both countries, really, although Afghanistan has the headlines right now because of the withdrawal. But these interpreters were absolutely vital. They stood shoulder to shoulder with U.S. forces, going literally into battle with them without weapons. They had some ballistic vests and things like that, but no weapons, but going in to fights with our service members to make sure that when they came on target, when they ran into an Afghani, be that a good person or a bad person, they were able to translate and let them know what they were saying, gain intelligence, learn if there were further attacks coming. They literally saved the lives of U.S. service members on a regular basis, and we promised them that we would follow up with getting them visas to bring them back to the U.S. because we knew that they were putting their lives on line, not just by going into battle with us, but by the very nature of working with U.S. forces, not just their own lives, but the lives of their families. And so we saw what happened in Iraq when we left the translators behind. We know it's going to happen again, and it's absolutely vital that we take this action now.
And speak to the idea of a promise, Jeremy, because it wasn't just with a wink and a nod. We said we were going to take care of these people.
Exactly. And that trickled all the way down to the most junior personnel on the field. And I think it was vital. That promise was vital to getting the support of these allies on the ground. They knew that they were risking their lives. They wanted to fight for the betterment of their country, but they knew that there was a huge risk in doing so. And it was the U.S. promise that I think allowed them to have the support of their families to be able to carry out this risky work. So to back out on that promise now, this isn't just something where it's putting individual lives on the line. This is really a stain on the U.S. government and on the U.S. as a country. We absolutely have to follow through on our promises to our allies, or that's going to affect trying to get allies in the future. And allies are incredibly important in this part of the world, especially because we have so little basic knowledge about things that go on there. So if we're not following through on our promises, this is going to echo for a long, long time.
Jeremy, you've obviously forgotten more than I'll ever know on this, but from my limited conversation with guys on the ground that were in Afghanistan, what struck me was a lot of the translators, sure, I mean, jobs are hard to come by in Afghanistan, but they weren't just doing it for a buck. They believed they were helping with the future of their country. And it's not some suits in Washington with some debate here. The guys who wore a uniform in country are some of the strongest advocates to help these folks out in Afghanistan. The people who should know best were the ones that were there, who don't look at this as some Republican or Democrat issue or even immigration issue. They said, if not for this guy, I don't know what would have happened to me. We don't know what we were walking into. These guys helped make sure that, we got back home, at the end of the night to our barracks. So what struck me was the forward-facing troops on the ground are the ones saying most, you got to do right by these people.
Absolutely. I'm glad you touched on that because there's a few really important things there. One, this is not a partisan issue. This isn't something that's coming out only because of the recent announced withdrawal. This really doesn't have to do with the withdrawal. It has to do with the promise that we made, and the fact that their lives are at risk if we don't follow through with our promise. It's becoming urgent now because of the withdrawal, but this is not new. This also shouldn't be considered a regular immigration type issue. These are potential incredible American citizens who have dedicated their lives to supporting the U.S. as well as supporting Afghanistan, a bright, democratic, free and fair Afghanistan. They really were putting their lives on the line. And these people have been vetted, I think, more so than any immigrant possibly can be vetted. And that's by being vetted by the nature of combat. They absolutely stood shoulder to shoulder with American allies. If they ever had any intention of doing anything harmful to the U.S., they had many opportunities to do it long before this. So this absolutely is not political. It's not really a question of immigration. It's a question of domestic policy. These are the type of people that we want becoming U.S. citizens. These are the type of immigrants that everyone should want.
Jeremy, it's also not a question of if, but when, in that there's already been communicated threats to these folks that, hey, when the U.S. troops leave, we will kill you, we will kill your family. For a lot of these folks, it's not that they're wondering what could happen to them. They've been told to their face by the Taliban and others, we're going to come and get you.
Not just get them, get their families. And these aren't just threats. Too many have already been killed by the Taliban because of their support to the U.S. We already are losing this mission because we've waited so long. These are promises that we made as many as 20 years ago to many of these that we fought alongside with in Iraq and Afghanistan. So this is not something new. This is not something hypothetical. This is something that we know is going to happen because it's already happened. And so every day that we delay is putting more lives on the line.
So, Jeremy, to me, I don't know how this is a debate. There's a right thing to do here. It seems pretty simple on its face. But for anybody who's queasy to say, well, we don't know who these people are, forgetting what they've done in working in service of at least the U.S. military's goals there, the idea would be we would resettle them in Guam, a U.S. territory, and then vet them to make sure that they should be part of the American fabric. We do have a check and balance here to make sure that these people, would be additive to this country.
Absolutely. And the checks, frankly, have already been done. They wouldn't have been going into battle with our service members if they hadn't already been vetted. Most of them have already been cleared for this visa process. It's just that the U.S. hasn't followed through on actually bringing them to the U.S. You mentioned Guam. We kind of refer to it as the Guam option, but Guam is just one possibility. Guam was used after Vietnam to resettle immigrants. It's being put out as an option now, but it doesn't have to be Guam. Really what we're just talking about is, okay, if the problem here is concern that we need to do more vetting of these Afghanis, then great. Let's find a U.S. location, maybe it's another country even that's willing to help us out here, where we can bring them, get them out of harm's way, and then do the vetting process as necessary. But really, there are many ways that we can solve this problem, but the biggest thing that we need to do is take action. And that's why we're working with groups like No One Left Behind and Veterans for American Ideals to push the administration to take action. The Department of Defense knows about this. The chairman and the Secretary of Defense were both asked questions about this just this week in a press conference. They are standing by to carry out the mission. I think what we really need to do is we need to keep the press on to the administration and to Congress to take action immediately.
We got a lot of complicated debates in this country, but this isn't one of them. We gave our word. They did right by us. It's the right thing to do. Jeremy Butler, I appreciate you making time for us. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you giving me the time.
When we come back, everyone, we're going to head out west. We're going to California, where Governor Gavin Newsom, he's going to be facing a recall vote this fall. So voters there, they got to be furious with Newsom, right? Well, wrong. His numbers, they keep improving. So what's really going on in the Golden State? We'll get on the ground an update on that when we return.
IRS, open up.
The IRS is the most feared agency in the country and has the power to seize assets, garnish wages, and even put you in jail for back taxes and unfiled tax returns. Don't be a victim. Call Kick IRS right now and let us kick those IRS problems out of your life once and for all. Our powerful team of tax experts will fight hard for you and will not stop until we've resolved your tax problems on your terms. And if you qualify, we may even reduce or eliminate your tax debt altogether. No more sleepless nights wondering when the IRS is going to come after you. Take control of your tax problems today and make the phone call. We have an A rating with the Better Business Bureau, and we offer a 100% written guarantee, so there's nothing to lose and everything to gain. The consultation is free and the phone call is free. So pick up the phone right now and kick those IRS problems out of your life once and for all.
Call 1-800-719-3527 to get the tax help you need today. Again, that's 1-800-719-3527 or go to kickirstv.com.
When you fall and can't get help,
Help!
you will lie on the floor for hours or days in constant, terrible anguish, which often results in a tragic outcome. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
Don't worry, help is on the way.
With any of Life Alert's 3 emergency systems, help can be summoned immediately, whether at home,
I've fallen and I can't get up.
in the bathroom,
I've fallen in the shower.
or on the go.
Help! I'm in the park and I can't get up.
And batteries never need charging. Life Alert saves a life every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-215-6582. That's 1-800-215-6582. Call now. 1-800-215-6582.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Diabetics understand all too well the pain of pricking your fingers. But now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can immediately reduce your pain. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 4 or more times daily, injecting insulin 3 or more times daily, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now.
It's been 18 years since the California governor faced a recall. Back in 2003, then Democratic Governor Gray Davis, he learned from voters that his tenure had been terminated. Fast forward to today. Current Democrat Gavin Newsom, he will face a recall vote this fall, but Newsom, at least right now, looks like he'll escape the same fate that Davis did. New polling has only 36% of Californians wanting the recall in the column, with nearly half, 49%, saying they'll vote to keep Newsom in office. Newsom's approval rating stands at 52%. Those numbers may speak as much to Newsom's potential replacements on the ballot as it does to his own popularity. I should remind you, Davis had Arnold Schwarzenegger awaiting him on the ballot. Not this time around. Newsom, he's got Caitlyn Jenner, among others. Jenner's campaign rollout interviews have been, and I'll put it politely, panned. In fact, Jenner stuck in single digits in polling. 2 candidates tied for the lead with 22%. Former San Diego Mayor Kevin Falconer and businessman John Cox, who lost to Newsom in the 2019 gubernatorial race. So what is going on in the Golden State? For answers, let's bring in Jeremy White. Jeremy, a reporter for Politico covering California politics. He's also co-writer of the California Playbook. If you're Gavin Newsom, you feeling good right about now?
Absolutely. I think we have seen multiple polls now that suggest the governor has a majority approval rating and that a majority of voters would vote to keep him in the recall, which, remember, there's 2 questions. There's an up or down, keep the governor, and only if a governor can't get a majority there do you then move on to the second question of who should replace them. So the governor looks to be in the driver's seat here, and the more those COVID numbers go down and the economy reopens, you would think the better his prospects look.
Do you attribute that we're even talking recall for those that are not Epicurean folks? They probably never heard of French Laundry before Gavin Newsom made it infamous. Is it COVID handling? Is it just the political fever nationally going on? Why is he being recalled in the first place?
I think it's a little bit of both. Fundamentally, it's all about COVID. I think that there was a fair amount of frustration out there already about sort of the gyrating lockdowns and then sort of pulling back, relocking down. It certainly didn't help the governor that a lot of kids were out of their classrooms for many, many months. And as you said, getting caught dining out with some political supporters at this fancy restaurant certainly didn't help. And I think it's important to remember that not only did the pandemic increase a lot of angst and disillusionment amongst voters, it also prodded a judge to give proponents of this recall a few more months to gather signatures. If they don't have that extended window, this thing doesn't qualify. So the same forces that were fomenting anxiety among voters also sort of gave a political lifeline to this effort.
Jeremy, the situation on the ground in California, and obviously it's a huge state, but you've seen, as other states, you're going to lose a congressional district. But at the same time, they're looking at a $75 billion surplus. It's a mixed bag in California in terms of the near-term and long-term prospects once we get COVID behind us.
That's right. There's no question that California has some serious problems that preceded this pandemic. I would put homelessness and housing costs at the top of that list. But at the same time, as you pointed out, certainly compared to where we were a year ago, the economy is opening up. The budget has an enormous surplus. California has one of the lowest test positivity rates in the country. And so while there remain a lot of enduring problems to be fixed, and it's fair to criticize Governor Newsom or whoever else for some of those things, I do think you are seeing some of those specifically pandemic-related problems begin to recede. And the governor in these events around the state that are not explicitly campaign events, but have the feel of them, is really touting that progress. And rather than engaging with the recall, he artfully sidesteps all of our questions about it and says he's focused on reopening the state, sending these tax rebates to Californians thanks to this overflowing budget. So he is really stressing the good news, and clearly he believes that that will be enough to propel him to victory rather than sort of throwing elbows with the many Republicans vying to replace him.
You know, Jeremy, I started this hour talking about, well, the GOP reckoning that's going on in real time, Liz Cheney being the principal, but Kevin McCarthy playing another starring role. I'm curious, in California, not just in district, but for the California delegation, is he have some problem on his hands here, or is he bulletproof back home?
I think in terms of his political prospects, Kevin McCarthy is fine. He is still in a very conservative district, and there are plenty of voters who support him and support former President Trump in his district, which is anchored in the more conservative Bakersfield area. There is no doubt that there are many California Democrats who would love to see Kevin McCarthy out of office. It's no secret that he has ambitions to someday be Speaker of the House. California Democrats would love to deny him that ability by ensuring that Republicans remain in the minority. But I think it's important to remember that as overwhelmingly liberal as much of California is, Devin Nunes is still in office and probably not going anywhere anytime soon. You could say the same for Kevin McCarthy. And millions of people here voted for Donald Trump in 2020. So while statewide Democrats are very much in control, California Republicans still maintain some clout and some numbers here.
Hey, Jeremy, good stuff. I appreciate a few minutes. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Mary and Shirley both need oxygen. Shirley lost her freedom the day she went on oxygen, but Mary has the ultra-compact Inogen 1 G4 oxygen concentrator from Inogen. It's the smallest and lightest model we've ever made, so she'll always have the oxygen she needs anytime, anywhere. The sooner you call, the sooner you can reclaim the freedom and independence you deserve. Call now for your 30-day risk-free trial.
Call 800-683-1390. That's 800-683-1390.
This is important news for people who have taken Zantac or its generic ranitidine and then suffered from cancer. Zantac and generic ranitidine have been linked to cancers. Zantac and ranitidine contain NDMA, a known cancer-causing agent. If you or a loved one took Zantac or generic ranitidine and were then diagnosed with bladder cancer, kidney cancer, or any of these cancers, call Davis & Crump right now to see if you're eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Operators are standing by.
At Rebuilding Together, we believe everyone should be given the opportunity to live in a safe and healthy home.
especially our veterans. We are working with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to make essential repairs to our veterans' homes at no cost to them. Learn more at rebuildingtogether.org/veteransathome.
That is going to do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the program. Tomorrow evening, we'll be back 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope to see you Thursday.
Need life insurance?